Hey guys, Andy McDermott here. Welcome back to the Game Changers podcast at Intentional Sports, where we talk to someone who has not only changed the game, but they might talk about how they hope to use the game to change other people's lives. Today we have Jason Heyward joining us. Thanks for coming, Jay.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
Jason Heyward obviously is a professional baseball player, and he's a partner of mine here in Intentional Sports, where we host the Jason Heyward Baseball Academy in our turf field house. The only Major League Baseball size infield in the city of Chicago indoors that's open to the public, and we host our own academy for baseball classes, and we'll get to some of that stuff later. Jason obviously is a legend around here in the Chicago sports world. Grew up in Atlanta, was drafted right into Major League Baseball by Atlanta. Played there 5 years.
5 seasons.
5 seasons. And then went to St. Louis for 1 year.
St. Louis for 1 year.
1 year before being brought to Chicago Cubs, where he played 7 seasons. So five seasons in Atlanta, 1 season in St. Louis, 7 seasons as a Chicago Cub, historic run as Chicago Cub. We'll get to that later. And now entering your 2nd season in LA with the Dodgers, right?
That's right.
About ready to go off to preseason. Where you guys are, you start in Southern California? Or?
We're in Glendale, Arizona.
Okay, Glendale. And then where are you guys going for?
And then we're headed to South Korea, actually.
South Korea.
From there.
South Korea.
We fly out to Seoul March 14th.
Okay.
For an 8-day trip.
Yep.
We will be out there. I think we play a couple of friendlies, as soccer fans would call it.
Yep.
A couple exhibition games. I think we play a Korean professional team.
Yep.
And then we play their international team. And then we play 2 regular season games for us against the San Diego Padres before we head back to LA and finish off 3 more exhibition games.
Wow.
And then pop off the rest of the regular season.
Just a simple little road trip.
Just a little.
Yeah, right. It's like we were just talking about Inter Miami playing all these friendlies all over the world right now. It's like that's what the Dodgers are doing too. So big deal. It's a big deal, man. So I want to tell you guys real quick, each time we do a podcast episode, it'll be in a different area of the Intentional Sports campus. Today, obviously, we are in the Performance Center, which is a joke. If you're old like me, still call it a weight room. I remember touring University of Alabama's Strength Center several years ago when I was researching for building a facility in the East Bay of San Francisco. And I walked in and they introduced me to Scott Cochran, who was their strength coach. Okay. I think he's at Georgia now, Clemson, as a defensive coach. But he's credited with building up Alabama's strength program and making the football team who they were.
To make them unshakable, bulletproof, so to speak, and indestructible mindset, so that when they go play, they're at their best.
But he laughed at me. He said, "You're Andy McDermott, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, as part of our complex, we're building a performance center in the East Bay of San Francisco." And he goes, "Hold on. In California, you might call it a performance center. This is Alabama. We still call it an effing weight room. So you can call it a weight room." I said, "All right, I'm old school too. From Chicago, we call it a weight room there too." So I always call this a weight room. But as you guys can see, we have designed this to be primarily for athletes. From professional athletes down to little kid athletes who are learning just the basics of movement, coordination, balance, all the way up to world-class athletes, so they can work on their power, their strength, their injury prevention. We have great equipment in here, and we do classes. We have a strength coach named Brandon Adams who does classes for adults all the way down to kids, speed, strength, agility, power. So this is one of my favorite spots in the whole campus, because I believe all athletes eventually meet in the weight room. I've made some great friends from other sports in weight rooms at Northwestern and other places, because it's one place where all athletes from different sports kind of meet and hang out. So this is the weight room at Intentional Sports. So we're going to get into Jason Heyward's story a little bit. Jay, let's start early. Do you remember when baseball started for you? Why baseball? Was there other sports or kind of earliest memories?
My earliest memories, Andy, I think my dad took me my mom would take me to see my dad play softball in New Jersey, where I was born. Born in Ridgewood. We lived in Hackensack. And we moved south to Georgia think right before I was 3 years old. And my mom's dad, my grandfather was already a Yankees fan. He grew up playing in the same neighborhoods and same fields against Willie Mays and other baseball players.
Wow.
Out that way. Of course, Brooklyn Dodgers, huge fan of that.
Yeah.
But then moving to Georgia, for me, then it was Atlanta Braves and holding on to the northern roots of the family, New York Yankees.
Yeah, right.
And seeing those two franchises at an early age play baseball.
Yeah.
You know, in the 90s especially, it was Braves, Yankees, and a few World Series.
In the air to left field. Back at the track at the wall. We are tied.
And that's when it started for me, just having an interest in understanding it was a big deal. You know, watching them play on Fox, TBS's, and then ironically coming home from school at an early age, seeing Cubs games and White Sox games on TV when I get off the bus, because they always play the day games.
Yep.
So then just having those things in my backyard, having that history and a little bit of baseball culture in the family already, I was able to win a World Series on the team when I was 8 years old. We traveled to Denver, Colorado.
Wow.
Played in the Roberto Clemente World Series, actually, and we won that one as a team.
Wow.
And that was my first time really traveling somewhere else for something besides going to see family.
Yeah.
And that was when I began to fall in love with that part of baseball, playing against teams from Puerto Rico, the rest of the country, around the world. And then at 9 years old, I saw Ken Griffey Jr. play in Texas, in Arlington.
Wow.
You know, I had been to Braves games in Atlanta, down to Fulton County Stadium at the time. I think they had just moved into Turner Field as well, but when I was 9 years old, seeing Griffey play, seeing Alex Rodriguez play, Randy Johnson, they're all still on the Mariners. Just seeing him play center field as a left-handed outfielder, left-handed bat, A-Rod hitting a couple home runs. All the things that came together for me as a kid, I'm like, this is the way I love to play the game. I have fun the same way. I wear a smile on my face. I love to practice. Defense, offense, all those things. I was like, that's what I do naturally and that's what I love to do. So let me work at that. This is what I wanted to do. That was my introduction. That's what I wanted to do. Not something I say I know I'm going to be able to do.
Man, what an experience for you would have been 7, 8 years old to go out there and play and win a World Series.
Win a World Series, 8 years old, right?
That's life-changing stuff, right? For a little kid, man. Was it then that you realized that you had a future in the game? Was it that young, or was it a little bit later? Like, when did you know, hey, I might be able to actually play this game. I'm pretty good at this.
I didn't know that it was happening until I got the call drafted.
Really?
I wasn't looking that far ahead. Wasn't someone that said, oh, I know this is going to happen.
Yeah.
I know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I know I wanted to play.
It was a dream, but you weren't playing. Seems like these days, with social media, there's kids who think that they're going to be pros at the age of 12.
Which is amazing. Which is amazing.
They're orchestrating it like that, but it wasn't like that for you.
Right.
Yeah.
You get hit with reality always. I feel like life, it shows us things. Hey, one door closes, another one opens. How do we handle failure? Especially in the sport of baseball, with how many times you fail. But no, from playing at 5 years old on my first T-ball team, coach pitched, to graduating high school when I was 17 years old, I never knew for sure that it was happening until it happened. Signing a letter of intent with UCLA to go play baseball there.
Okay.
That was something I knew I had in the bag.
This was in high school, obviously, like your junior year? Or
what's that?
Was this like your junior year in high school, or how old were you when you were?
Senior year.
Okay, so you were really planning on going.
Yeah, I was planning on going until something greater came along, and fortunately it did, and an opportunity to be drafted. But no, the mindset was always, I'm working towards this. Let's see how high I can go, and wherever it falls, it falls.
Now, were you an early grower? I mean, you're what, 6'5"?
6'5",
and obviously he's. If you see little kid pictures, I remember your Instagram. You put a picture of himself. Well, you were little.
I was 2.
But already looking like he was lifting weights. So
I had the Heyward genes.
Yeah, that's right. The Heyward
early
genes.
in the
But were you an early grower in terms of when did you get to be, your size?
I was actually always middle of the pack until I graduated high school. So 8th grade, I was 5'9", which people would say, that's still considered tall.
Yeah.
There were still people plenty taller than me then.
Yeah.
Get to freshman year in high school, I was 6'1", and then that sophomore summer, I'm 15 years old, then I get to 6'3".
Wow.
Then I come back as a junior, I'm 16. It kind of starts pushing 6'4".
Wow.
Senior year, it goes like 6'4" and a half. And I'm about 215 at the time, so lean and mean.
Yeah.
And then actually got drafted at 17 years old. I was still growing into my first professional full season in 2008 at 18 years old, 19. So I don't think I stopped completely growing until I was maybe like 23.
Yeah, right.
And so getting like 6'5", they say 6'5" and a half.
Yeah, right.
I felt the growing pains.
Yeah, right.
For sure.
Yeah, right. Now, were other coaches, was it always just baseball for you, like through high school, or were the football coaches after you, basketball coaches? Did you play other sports?
All the coaches were definitely after me in the three major sports, basketball, football.
Yeah.
It was always baseball.
Yeah.
My freshman year, I wanted to play basketball, so my dad played college basketball at Dartmouth. His uncle, who he lived with his last 2 years of high school in LA. His uncle played for John Wooden at UCLA, Kenneth Washington. Yeah. Won a national championship against Duke in 1964.
Wow.
So the genes were there for basketball and then the know-how.
Yeah.
But my dad, his love was also baseball, and he wanted me to have something to do in the summer. Basketball is a wintertime sport. He was like, look, summertime, you're not going to be just sitting.
You got to do something. Try this sport.
And so no, that's kind of how I got started into baseball as well. But it was always baseball because basketball was going to be during showcase time.
Yeah.
My dad said, you can play basketball if you want, but we're not going to do both.
Yeah.
You're going to pick one or the other. And I was like, well, I want to go to these showcases, get exposure, and in Florida, play against the best competition. And that was a good way to get myself ready to go to the level where I wanted to be playing Major League Baseball.
Yeah. Now, you've talked to me about your parents before, and I've met your parents a couple times, and how important they were in all this. Your dad drove you to a ton of practices and games and showcases, right? He was invested in this.
Fully invested.
Yeah. It's such a huge blessing. I mean, obviously they're still in your corner because they've been here for our ribbon cutting and other stuff. So, that's amazing. So we're transitioning now into the pros. You got drafted. You remember your first day as a pro? Like, were you at AAA? Were you at the Toledo Mud Hens, or where'd they send you?
No, it was not AAA. Especially at that time, coming out of high school, you go straight to the quote unquote bottom. Okay. And when I came into the game professionally, getting drafted in 2007, I was drafted on draft day. The draft at that time was June 7th. Okay. I couldn't sign my contract until August 15th. Okay. So I had another birthday, turned 18. Okay. And eventually made my way down to Florida Gulf Coast League in Orlando at ESPN Wide World of Sports. We're connected to Disney World down there, which was the Brave Spring training home at the time. And my first professional day, it's probably the equivalent of going to college first day for a lot of people that went. My parents took me down, of course, sent me off, made sure I was in the right place. And I met my manager at the time, Louis Ortiz, a couple other players kind of passing by, and then that was it. It was like, all right, I'll see you guys later. And I'm gonna go do what I gotta do. And it was just one of those things that kind of happened very quickly in the moment, because I had to go clubhouse, go get my gear, meet some people inside, quick physical, and then get your butt out to practice and get out there in the sun. And let's see if you're really the first round recruit.
Right. And what was that like? I mean, did you have success right away? Did you have some failure? I mean, I know baseball is always a roller coaster ride, but was it hard to break in that first preseason?
I think just getting accustomed to the stuff around the job. It was now a job.
Yeah. Learning how to be a pro, right?
Learning how to be a pro. I think that, forget that part, right? I think it's just, I understand what you mean by being a pro, but off the field. Like, we're staying at the hotel, you're staying.
That's what I mean. Everything besides just playing baseball,
you're
right?
Staying in Marriott Village right now, catching the shuttle to and from the field until I learn who I can catch a ride with.
Sure.
Fortunately, I had Freddie Freeman, who was from Orange County, who I had known. I met the summer before.
Okay.
Leading up to that, we were both 16 at the time, what have you. So we got drafted by the same team.
Yeah.
So eventually I got to catch up with him. He was already down there for a month and a half, holding it down.
Yeah, right.
But no, just figuring out the ins and outs of what I'm going to eat, when I'm going to eat, how I'm getting to sleep, you know, having a roommate, all that kind of stuff. It was that was the beginning experience. Yeah. And then, no, success-wise on the field, it came very quickly. Yeah. Because I was just playing a game. Yeah. What I knew how to do. I think I homered in the first game that I played in, not the first at bat. Yeah. I think I may have grounded out one time, maybe struck out another, and then hit a home run left center into the parking lot. Yeah. And I'm just like, that's
baseball.
Awesome. That's dope, right? That's you know, it's cool to do first homer and as a Brave. Yeah. Everybody else was like, okay, that'll do. Yeah, you know, that plays. Right. We see, you know, the potential, and you know, for you to do that instantly, that was you know, fun for them to see. But that was the beginning of you know, what's now been 15 years at the major league level, but drafted in 07, full season in 08 in the minor leagues, full season in 2009 in the minor leagues. And this is through 6 stops, through 6 different levels. Wow. And then in 2010, finally making the major leagues at 20 years old.
Wow. So it's a long road.
It's like, a long road.
In the entertainment world in Hollywood, we often say he's like a 10-year overnight success. Oof. You know, because someone gets a movie and they're like, ooh, he just got here. Right. But no, he's been grinding for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Right. So I think baseball is similar, where people don't know that you were. What did you say? 6 stops? I mean, that's
6 stops.
Yeah, that's a lot of work and a lot of hopes and a lot of dreams and
a lot of coming across different people, different parts of the country and the Southeast. Being an Atlanta affiliate, you know, you had to learn how to trust people, learn how to deal with people being fans, and you know, how to turn that on and off, so to speak. But I think more importantly now, having the perspective is understanding that I was figuring out how to live that, you know, like we all do when we get to our profession. Yeah,
and I understand you to be, or everything that I've heard about you, a fantastic mentor to younger players, and now, you know, a fantastic seasoned professional that really helps younger players learn how to be a pro. Was there somebody like that for you when you were the young guy? Anybody you remember kind of looked up to, took you under their wing a little bit?
I mean, I'm super fortunate to have coaches at an early age, my dad at an early age, as an athlete in college, mentor me on how to take care of myself, get rest, eating, all those things, right? A lot of coaches along the way, way too many to name before I got there professionally. But no, as a major leaguer, 20 years old, Andy, I remember Eric Hinsky, who had been through it, Brian McCanns, Chipper Jones, Martin Prado, Tim Hudson, Billy Wagner. There's a long line of guys, but just my teammates looked out for me. Now you have to earn that. You get what you give, and you know, respect is, you know, earned, not given. But they really helped me settle in at this stage and teach me how to be a grown man. David Ross, also one of those guys. As a lot of us know here in Chicago. But that was just, for me, a reassurance. The principles I believed in on being a good teammate, wanting the best for the guys and people around you, that went a long way in having success on the teams that I played for before getting to the major leagues. And I saw that same thing live out. So I've always wanted to give that back as a guy that's pulling in the same direction. out there, I'm on the field to compete to win. And so at 20 years old, I had some guys saying that I felt like their older brother.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but that was just me having a lot of experience and having people around me that did the same thing.
Yeah.
Wanted the best for you.
And being a natural leader and a good human. I mean, it means a lot in today's world. Unfortunately, it's more rare to find these days. So, good segue there. You mentioned David Ross. I wanted to hit on your time as a Cub. Obviously, we're here in Chicago on the West Side. Is there a memory? Is there something that really impacted you from your time? Either in your whole career or while you were here in Chicago? Is there a certain memory that you hold on to?
I feel like the four. I played for 4 different franchises.
Yep.
4 historic franchises in sports.
Yep.
In Atlanta, being a kid at 20 years old, the feeling that my teammates gave me, taking me under their wing, showing me the ropes, busting my chops when it needed to happen, but just helping me grow up as a young man.
Yep.
And then getting traded to St. Louis, finding some newfound freedom, them taking a chance on me and playing for a franchise that has, I think, second most championships in the sport of baseball, in 11. And getting to just see another city. And that was my introduction really to the Midwest. Playing, seeing the fan bases and seeing how the Cubs, Pirates, Reds, seeing that history, Milwaukee, just seeing how much people hold on to positivity in these cities, because we know what the winters are like. So when you get to the summertime sports.
Why sports is such good escapism.
Absolutely. So that was an awesome field there in St. Louis. Just getting to play in another city, because I was at home for 5 years with Atlanta. Yeah. Getting, my first time to go step out and live somewhere new. Signing here as a Cub, as a free agent. My first year, we won the World Series in 2016. One of the bigger memories I'll have for the rest of my life, easily, hands down. And just seeing, the energy in the city. In that run of the first 3 years especially, coming off of winning that World Series, the positivity, I feel like the positivity and the belief that we earned from the fans as players, because I felt like anytime we were down, there was a chance we were gonna come back. We made people over and over again, be happy about staying for that extra inning or for that last at bat. And then I feel like with LA, lastly, another amazing opportunity to see that the makeup, the hard work, character, dedication, the love for the game will still take you places and bring you into good situations around good people, and opportunity to play in front of some more special fans. Another historic franchise, and really special moment for me in 2023, speaking on Jackie Robinson Day in front of his statue out in front of Dodger Stadium, and then also on the field to the fans. But I just can never stop imagining what Jackie had to go through on a daily basis when he continuously had it thrown in his face that he was different. To me, he made no excuse and took it as something that he wanted to get this done. He wanted to see this mission through. Just a lot of cool things in this 15 years in this ride. So it's really hard to just put one. So I just had to give that long answer and appreciate all of it.
No, I mean, that's amazing, man. What a career, and hopefully many more memories still to make.
Appreciate it.
I told Jason when we first met, it was actually on a Zoom call. I told him, my personal story that I'm sure you've heard 10,000 times from other people as Cubs fans. I grew up here, and my grandparents, Vernice Anderson and Frances Anderson, he passed earlier than her, but she lived to be 88 and watched or listened to every Cubs game for every day of her life. Until when she was an adult. So at least 60, 70 years of every Cubs game. I think she was more in love with Harry Carey than my grandpa. She passed away before 2016. I should know what year. But I was living in LA, we were living in a guest house, and I was up in the fitness room with my kids watching the game on TV. And of course I cried, thinking about her, thinking about him. My father is now, late 70s. He's always been a Cubs fan. My brother-in-law, massive Cubs fan. So when it's kind of in your blood, and I'm a soccer guy, it's the same thing in Europe. If you grew up, your grandparents are Bayern Munich fans, and you just grew up with it.
Right.
And so, one of the best moments for me in my sports life was that day. And I told Jason that on a Zoom call. I'll never forget his response. He said, "Thank you." It always means a lot to hear because it was really, really hard.
Yeah.
And that means something to me. Is I always try to inspire young people to do hard things. If it was easy, anybody would do it, but that was monumentally hard, and it just means so much to so many people that you guys didn't just, you could have said, we're close enough, or whatever, like kept after it, man. That's so.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So that's awesome. All right. So last question to wrap up here on the Game Changers podcast. Why the Jason Heyward Baseball Academy? That's kind of using the game to change other people's lives. But why'd you feel like you needed to get involved here and you want to be part of this project?
Well, Andy, I was always a part of giving back with the game of baseball once I got drafted. And I saw the opportunities that we had from our parents, from anyone that supported us as in Little League and fundraisers with the donuts and the sports drinks and selling candy and whatnot. What it took for us to have a chance to go play in these tournaments and travel around the country. And just to go further. And so for me, I think it was more about being ready for the opportunity. I don't think I ever set out one day and said that I need to do this, need to do that, and take care of other people. I just naturally saw how that played out and was happy to do so when I saw other people doing it. And I think that's a special thing about having good influences around you, good people, good partners that we have here at Intentional Sports, Jason Heyward Baseball Academy. There's others, of course, that we get to share these walls with. But 2020 was a big year for a lot of us in so many different ways. And that was another time to talk about, but going through something hard, we all could have just said, we're gonna go do something different. We're gonna go hang out and see how we can just make ourselves feel good about each other. It was awesome to see people, athletes, community get together and say, how can we bridge the gap and help out in issues that weren't just appearing in that year, but we knew that if we started then, we could help, like you said, over time and long after we're gone, make it a lot easier for kids, families to come together. And for me, another beautiful thing coming from the game of baseball that's given me so much of my life, from a family, from home, of course, accolades, championships, but I think it's really, really special to have my last name on that wall and something you see when you come through that door, knowing that we care, my family, we care about the growth of the kids. We care about building character, how to deal with failure, having a chance to play indoors, when we know what the weather's like here in Chicago, even in the summertime, you will get some rain. But it just, for me, it just epitomizes everything that I've had to do as an athlete. Sacrifice, giving up and missing out on some of the fun things that you might feel like that that other people are doing. But the reward is so great. And already in 1 year of the building standing, just being able to come in here and work out in the facility, bring my family through, bring friends through, but also see you guys put this place to work every day. And of course, having our first baseball clinic out here on the turf field in the field house last weekend, super special, man. Just see people have somewhere to go and take pride.
That's amazing. Well, I say it all the time that the reason why we're here is it's no secret to use sports as a vehicle to change lives. And there's thousands of kids here now every week playing baseball, soccer, basketball, football, softball, esports. And if we find the next Jason Heyward or Justin Fields or Alyssa Nair or Candace Parker, then amen, hallelujah. But we're here for the 99.9% of kids who can be inspired by people like Jason to give them opportunities, maybe not to play professional baseball, but maybe to graduate high school, maybe to go to college, maybe to become a coach, maybe to become a doctor, who knows. But because of a ball, for Jason it's a baseball, for me it's a soccer ball, for other people around here it was football, whatever. We had opportunities, we learned lessons, and we had opportunities in life that we wouldn't have otherwise. So huge thanks to Jason for joining us today on the Game Changers podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, guys.